What's up, guys? It's Keelan, and today we're talking about why Giannis is the MVP slash best player in the NBA. We're gonna split it into like three different parts: why Embiid is not, why Jokic is not, and why Giannis is. So starting off with Embiid, Embiid relies heavily on free throws. Now in the regular season, this works with Embiid averaging like 30 points per game. But when it comes playoff time, as we've seen every year of his career, the free throws don't come as easy due to like the officiating being different. So that's like a big knock on Embiid's game in the playoffs. Another thing, Embiid is like sluggish and lazy unless he wants to turn it up, which although he can turn it up is a very big like liability during the regular season and playoffs when Embiid is just standing there waiting to transition instead of actually guarding up on his man. And another example is Embiid is a little bit of a crybaby. Embiid seems to whine for fouls all game long. When they don't come his way, he gets frustrated and just resorts to fouling people. Embiid also plays more minutes in the playoffs than Giannis and Jokic, and Embiid is averaging the least amount of points, rebounds, and assists between all three of them. For example, this playoffs, Embiid isn't even in the top 10 in points. Embiid is all the way down at 11 with 25 points per game. And although he was out 2 games, he still played more than Jokic. And in 5 games, Jokic averaged 31 points. In 11 games, Embiid only averaged 25 points. And another thing, Embiid's free throw attempts have gone down a good amount this playoffs compared to regular season, proving why he's lost about 5 points per game. So he's lost about 5 free throws attempts per game. And just to clear another thing, Embiid is not producing too well in the playoffs. He's only averaging 2 assists, which is not good for your star player to be doing in the playoffs. And Embiid is not too much of like a versatile defender. He can only guard center, power forward, but he can't switch in the perimeter or guard like smaller guards such as Giannis. And so moving on to Jokic. Jokic is a huge defensive liability for big man, for perimeter, the paint. Although, like, he is kind of underrated on defense, but people still can't say he's close to being on Embiid or Giannis' level on defense. Jokic is just kind of, I don't know how to put it, but he's just not the greatest defender. Like, someone like Giannis just bodies Jokic and can get around him easily with quickness. So I guess I'd say he's kind of like a slow defender. And this is kind of a hot take, but Jokic is low-key stat padding. His teammates have all been injured. He's playing with a bunch of bums who probably would honestly be in the G League if it wasn't for the injuries on the Nuggets. So, I mean, he gets the ball every single possession and has the keys to do whatever he wants. So it's no wonder he's averaging, like, what is he averaging, like 30, 10, and 10 or whatever? Like, it's no wonder he's averaging that when he's basically the only player they have. Like, compared to Embiid and Giannis, Jokic's teammates are horrible. And another big knock on Jokic is his playoff performances, although they've been good, he cannot lead them to any wins. And Jokic also plays them more minutes than Embiid and Giannis by a decent amount. So it's clear reason why his stats do tend to be higher compared to the other two. He's playing the most minutes. He's playing with bums on his team, so he has the keys to whatever he wants. And he's just like not a very versatile player. You get the offense out of him, but on the defense, players like to attack him. Like, for example, players like Luka eat Jokic up because they'll just ISO him and easily either blow by him or hit a step back 3 on him. And then the final part, why Giannis is the MVP and the best player in the world. So one thing that Embiid and Jokic haven't had their whole career is availability. But Giannis has never been injured when it comes to the playoffs or a big game or when they need him. Giannis is always there. And I know players can't control that, but for example, like being in the weight room like Giannis does every summer is something that you don't tend to see Jokic doing as he just flies back home like I saw in an interview with Michael Porter Jr. that Jokic every summer just flies back home to Serbia and drinks, and then about a couple of weeks before the season, he tries getting back in shape. Like, he's not very hungry, but a player like Giannis, right when the season ends, he's already putting in the work, and he's always hungry because he came up out of Greece. It's not that good of like not good living conditions and not very like good life, so he's always hungry. And for example, we've seen Giannis win the NBA championship last year, and he got right back to work and is trying to make it happen again this year. So he's always hungry. And although Giannis is like a worse 3-point shooter than Embiid and Jokic, he's improving on it. He works on his game every summer, which is like a huge thing that, I mean, you can't say Embiid and Jokic do, but not to the level Giannis does. Like he's improving every year way more drastically than those two guys do on defense, offense. Like since Giannis has came into the league, his offensive bag has grown deeper and deeper to the point where he's just unstoppable now. You can't put it big on Giannis. He's too fast. He's too strong. You can't put a little guy on Giannis because he's too big and he's way too strong. So someone like Giannis is just like unguardable. Jokic, you could stop with a player like Giannis, and Embiid, you could stop with a player like Giannis, but Jokic or Embiid could not stop Giannis. And another huge thing that's needed in the playoffs is being able to lock down the other team's best player. So no matter what game it is and what day it is, Giannis is always the best player on the court, and he could easily lock down any other team's best players. But when we get to Jokic, he can't lock down someone like Harden or someone like Luka or someone like Kawhi. He's too big and slow. Embiid is the same thing. He's too slow to lock down someone like that. But you put Giannis on KD or you put Giannis on Luka, you put Giannis on anyone you want, a center, point guard, shooting guard, he'll lock them down easily. And another thing with Giannis is, unlike Embiid and Jokic, Giannis will put his body on the line. He's like, it's like an intrinsic thing, like that is not talked about enough. Players like Giannis that are like hungry and willing to do anything to win, they'll put their bodies on the line and they'll just go up for the dunks, like go up to block the dunks, or they don't care about anything that happens except winning the game. Players like Embiid, who are like kind of a crybaby, they won't be willing. He's not willing to put his body on the line because he's a little bit of like a diva, I'd say. And another thing is, Giannis does not care about stats. Like, if he has to, say he's having a bad game, he'll pass it off. But players like Embiid, they just keep trying and foul baiting and stuff. And that's why it does not work in the playoffs and why Giannis is the only one of these three to have a ring. And that's why he's going to go back-to-back, in my opinion. So there we have it. That's why Giannis is the MVP and best player in the NBA.